My full name is Sanam Emma Cotton. I go to Nettle Horse School. I'm 13 years old. I'm in the 8th grade.
Great. And tell me what you're doing today. You got a lot of colorful things in front of you.
Yeah, well, we're making a peace quilt. And 6 people are going to be able to make one quilt, and after they travel all around the United States, they're going to go to the children in Baghdad.
Right. And how does it make you feel to be a part of something that's going around the world and to kids that are in the middle of a war?
It feels like you're part of something bigger than you.
Can you elaborate on that? Say a little more about that.
Well, it's not just like we're sending these quilts to somebody next door. You're actually sending them to people who need them and who need a little bit of hope.
Do you think they need a little bit of hope or a lot of hope?
A lot.
A lot of hope, okay. And what's your idea that you're trying to communicate in your square? What are you thinking about?
That peace is more than one way.
2 stick figures prominently displayed in the center of her square clasp hands. Wisps of yellow ribbon frame their stick figure faces. When I asked 7-year-old Meredith on camera what they were doing and how that related to being peaceful, she quizzically looked up at me, absolutely dumbfounded that I did not understand how her image tied the 2 concepts together. To her it was simple, arguably intuitively obvious by her own facial expression. Hold hands. Touch one another, share, reach out, connect across a fabric divide. It was only a few inches of cloth, but it represented a whole world of separation, easily mended according to the rules by which she played. It was in that moment that I had my own epiphany in March of this past year. We think adults should teach children, but perhaps in actuality we have it backwards. Children are here to guide us adults and help us grow. So was born, one piece at a time, the genesis of the Crossroads Children's Humanitarian Peace Quilt series of workshops, which were taken to 12 Chicagoland schools, community centers, Girl Scout, and refugee youth programs over the past 6 months. Children were given 2 hours to complete their quilt square, and some blocked it out in color and design ahead of time in preparation for their workshop. Including over 200 children from Pilsen to Highland Park, from the lakefront areas to the far west side of Chicago, this project spans the gamut of our diverse city and its surrounding suburbs. From broken English to fluent prose, their accompanying written work, at times missing parallel structure, replete with spelling mistakes, speaks volumes, as does their artwork.
My name's Zadira Levine. I'm 12 years old. We're at JRC, the Jewish Reconstructionist Congregation in Evanston.
What are you thinking about as you're working on this project?
Well, I'm thinking about peace and how to foster it, and I feel that education is the most important thing we can do to promote peace. And it's really up to parents and to teachers, because if we teach our children to not to hate, we would have a better world if people treated each other as equals and accepted other religions and accepted others.
Where else do you think this project should go?
Oh wow. I think it needs to go all over the world.
I am Daniel Halabi. I'm from Lebanon. I am 13 years old, and I have been here for 4 months.
How do you communicate peace using fabric, using color? What are some of the things you think about?
Like vegetables and music are for happiness, and food that we can have.
Is that why you chose this fabric?
Yes. And for we can the food that we can find in Iraq, and the kinds of music. We have music, and we have deserts.
How can you show the desert? Is there something peaceful about the desert?
I will have to do a camel right now. To show there's a desert in Iraq. And they use the camels to move from a place to place. And that's what I'm going to do with this quilt.
Do you think it's important to send these messages to children in Iraq?
Yes.
Why is that?
That's important because children in Iraq to know that there's somebody is going to help them.
What are you communicating with those symbols? What do they mean to you?
Right now, the butterfly means that you want to escape from You want to escape. A butterfly means to me escaping from your problems. Sun is like renewing your life. But and flowers is growing, being mature enough, growing another step to another level.
A light with winged doves through rainbowed villages, taking a bird's eye view of polka-dotted lakes and streams flowing goodwill from one purple continent to another. Peek in on protective fortresses surrounding sacred peace signs. Tour a jeweled fabric city of understanding with yellow hands and fluorescent hearts leading the way. Traverse undulating ribbon barriers through forests of sprouting peace trees. Come, take a seat with us on the next Peace Bus for a tour to a transformed patchwork planet where solar systems burst forth peaceful possibilities inscribed in different languages and flowers of diversity blossom from the fertile ground of one muslin square after another. It is a world not to be missed.
And how about the purple ribbon? It's a really dramatic thing in the middle of this. What does that mean?
To me, this is like a barrier that we have to cross to get to them, and they have to cross to get to us.
Say a little bit more about barriers. What do barriers do for people?
Barriers like contain people in one certain area, like the ocean. They keep them away from one place, or they keep them inside one place.
Are there other barriers other than physical barriers?
There are emotional barriers as well.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about those barriers. What do they look like?
Even though you can't see them, you can feel them. Like the barrier of hatred.
Are there other barriers you think about that we need to get beyond or get through?
One barrier for me is the barrier of race. Because people still judge people from how they look, how they speak, and what they're from.
It doesn't matter who you are or what you look like. You can still be friends. That's why I have a heart here, to connect the people.
So the fabric are kind of like the people?
So my big idea is I'm collaging it to just a lot of different things that'll pretty much even show my point more, that different things can come together to be friends.
Here we have the music, which I really like because I'm a violinist for 5 years. And then I believe that people, when they're unhappy, when they're not peaceful, they listen to music. But they also listen to music when they are peaceful. And then here I have trees and I have buildings. That is where there's everywhere peace around the world. So there's peace in the country, there's peace in the city, even though the city is loud and everything. And then this river, divides and makes a peace sign. Well, the trees represent the nature, and that in nature you have peace, you have animals, whatever. But here, this is a path, and it somehow ends because the river breaks it up. And the buildings, this represents Chicago. And it explains that there is peace in Chicago too. You know, there's peace everywhere.
The kids will understand, no matter what country they are, what these are all about. I haven't seen anything of this magnitude where it's been a group project that has traveled around the United States, where it was all done by children. And I think this should be seen and shown in museums around the United States and around the world.
Say I'm a child and I come and I see the quilt and I say, wow, Gustav made this square? I wonder what he's telling me. and then you could get on the phone and tell this child somewhere halfway around the world what you're trying to say, what would you tell them?
Every child share the same sun and the same cloud and the stars.
Over the last several months, 6 squares at a time were professionally sewn together by an 18-person team of seamstresses and quilt artists, donating their talent to fashion individual quilts for Iraqi children abroad. The goal of this project is manifold. Primarily, it is an interactive method of stimulating creative self-expression while growing philanthropic children and young adults. At its fundamental core, it is a program designed to engage children in a dialogue for world peace, to encourage their individual voices in it, and to ask them what role they see themselves playing presently and into their future. The quilt exhibition will subsequently travel to the Chicago County Building, the Chicago Children's Museum, and other children's museums around the country, the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles, and then will be off to New York City and Washington, D.C. en route to Baghdad. In its sojourn to these museums and cultural institutions, as well as during its aftermath, these workshops will continue, with each individual American community designating another war-torn area as the recipients of these quilted creations.